I'm Mr. Vanny. Welcome to our channel. Crime Chronicle 1 have brought you another unimaginable story today. Please stay tuned. This is the full story of JonBonet Ramsey's mystery, the child beauty queen, whose Christmas light went dark suddenly, leaving a shock of mystery in the world behind why, who, and how it happened. Before I dive deeply, let's take a moment and listen to our tribute song for the child beauty queen.
Little spark of grace in a world so dim. Your laughter like a melody, a fragile hymn. In your tiny shoes you walk so tall, a big girl smile. Though you were so small, cameras flashed, but they couldn't see the light you gave, the mystery. Sweet JonBonet, you shine so bright, a fleeting star in the velvet night. Gone too soon, but still you stay in hearts that hold your light. JonBonet. Pageant dresses, sequins like the sky, sparkly eyes that dare to defy the world that didn't glow enough for a soul so pure, a heart so tough. Tiny hands held dreams so wide, a beauty queen, but more inside. Sweet JonBonet, you shine so bright, a fleeting star in the velvet night. Gone too soon, but still you stay in hearts that hold your light. JonBonet.
JonBonet Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990. She was a cheerful, beautiful 6-year-old, with that special sparkle children sometimes carry, vivacious, curious, and loved dearly by her family. Her parents, JonBonet Ramsey and Patsy Ramsey, doted on her, and her brother and half-siblings from her father's earlier marriage were part of a household that, on the surface, seemed comfortable and secure. Because of her looks and her parents' support, JonBonet entered child beauty pageants and earned titles. She was, as some describe, a little pageant queen, a sparkle of youth and promise, full of potential. In the winter of 1996, as Christmas approached, the Ramsey home was reportedly preparing for a warm, festive celebration. On the night of December 25, 1996, Christmas Day, everything seemed calm on the outside. But beneath that calm, fate was already turning cold. In the early morning hours of December 26, 1996, JonBonet's mother, Patsy, made a terrifying discovery. a handwritten ransom note on the kitchen stairs. The note demanded $118,000 for the return of JonBonet, a sum chillingly similar to the Christmas bonus John Ramsey had recently received. Panic, confusion, dread. The note claimed that if the demand wasn't met, the child would be killed. Fearing for their daughter's life, the Rams called the police at 5:50 to Police arrived quickly, but their initial search failed to find JonBonet. There were no obvious signs of forced break-in. Doors intact, windows undisturbed. Nothing to show an intruder had forced their way in, at least not yet. The house had an eerie stillness. Christmas lights and decorations, silent halls, and every corner holding a memory of laughter and childhood. At around 1 p.m. that same day, calamity revealed itself in its darkest form. John Ramsey, urged by a detective to double-check the house, opened a basement door that had been overlooked by initial responders. Inside a seldom-used room lay JonBonet's body. Her small form was wrapped in a white blanket. Her mouth was covered with duct tape. A nylon cord, fashioned as a garrote, was around her neck, the very instrument used to strangle her. Her wrists were bound. The life had gone from her. To make the horror even more heart-shattering, the autopsy revealed that she had suffered a fractured skull, a brutal blow to the head in addition to strangulation. The official cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation, associated with craniocerebral trauma. There was evidence suggesting possible sexual assault, though no semen was found, and the medical examiner could not conclusively prove rape. The injuries and forensic marks hinted at the possibility. The innocence of a child, the warmth of a family home, turned into a chamber of dread, and the world recoiled in horror. The ransom note, found earlier on the stairs, became one of the central pieces of evidence. It demanded $118,000, the exact same amount of John Ramsey's bonus the prior year, a detail that seemed far too precise to ignore. Why that amount? Was it someone who knew the family finances? Someone close? Or was it a cruel twist, a mockery? Detectives considered many possibilities. Employees from John's company who knew about the bonus, someone with inside information, even religious or symbolic interpretations. Some thought the ransom demand referenced a biblical verse.
Flashed, but they couldn't see the light you gave, the mystery. Sweet JonBonet, you shine so bright.
From the start, suspicion focused heavily on the family itself. After all, no forced entry, a ransom note left inside the house, a crime scene turned tragic basement within their home. But the investigation was bungled in many ways. Critical errors were made: mishandling of evidence, contamination of crime scene, failure to treat the home as a crime scene properly since the parents themselves discovered the body and moved things. Forensics lost some of the most valuable information in that confusion. On top of that, the media frenzy became almost a trial by public opinion. The Rams found themselves under a glare that few families endure. Rumors spread, every detail scrutinized. The pressure was immense.
Sequins like the sky, sparkly eyes that dare to defy.
Moreover, investigators noted that the ransom note was suspiciously long and elaborate in tone, language, even in threats, unlike many real abduction notes. Some experts believe the note might have been crafted after the fact, perhaps by someone living in the house. But there was no consensus. The note remained an enigma, a horrifying puzzle piece whose meaning still haunted every theory about that night. The case exploded in public attention almost immediately. The fact that JonBonet had been a child pageant contestant, a little princess, the media said, made the story even more sensational. Newspapers, television, and tabloids everywhere ran with her smiling pageant photos. Some portrayed her parents, John and Patsy, as doting, others as pushy pageant parents. The wealth and status of the family fueled speculation and rumor.
But still you stay in hearts that hold.
As years went on, different theories emerged, each more unsettling than the last. Some investigators and members of the public strongly believed the culprit was within the family. The ransom note, the lack of forced entry, the tragic nature of the crime all pointed, at least superficially, to someone who lived there. Yet others argued for an intruder theory. A former homicide detective, Lou Smith, came to believe that someone unknown had broken in through the basement, perhaps through an open window, and killed JonBonet. He felt strongly that the garrote, the duct tape, and the brutal violence spoke of a predator, someone utterly outside the family. There were pieces of evidence that supported this. A basement window that could have been used for entry, a suitcase found in the house possibly used to climb in and out, and some rope found in a guest bedroom that, per the Ramsey family, did not belong to them. Still, none of these leads solidified into something that would stand in court. Every theory had its holes. In 1999, 3 years after the murder, a grand jury was convened to examine the evidence and decide if charges should be pressed. They voted to indict JonBonet's parents John and Patsy Ramsey on charges of child abuse resulting in death and accessory after the fact. But prosecutors declined to file charges. The reason? They concluded there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the Rams had killed their daughter. Despite grand jury's vote, the evidence was too circumstantial and tainted. And then the case went quiet, chillingly quiet. For the grieving family, for a public hungry for answers, silence. Years passed, DNA, exoneration, but questions remain. As technology advanced, forensic scientists re-examined some of the evidence. In 2003, DNA extracted from JonBonet's clothes was determined to belong to an unknown male, not John, Patsy, or their son Burke Ramsey. Finally, in 2008, the then District Attorney Mary Lacey publicly announced that the Ramsey family was completely cleared. The DNA results had excluded them. Although the exoneration was not legally binding, meaning it didn't automatically guarantee an arrest, it served as a strong official stance. The family was not suspects anymore. For the family, this was some relief in a storm of media scorn, suspicion, and grief. They weren't criminals, at least not by any officially recognized evidence. But the central horror remained. The killer had never been found. No arrest, no trial, no closure. The case went cold. With renewed attention sparked by documentaries, new forensic potential, and persistent advocacy, there is renewed hope. John Ramsey continues to push for new DNA and genealogy testing. Investigators occasionally revisit leads. Experts weigh the possibility that the truth might yet emerge. More than 140 people have been investigated at various times over the years. Thousands of pages of documents, hundreds of leads, and yet the answer remains elusive. To many, the case of JonBonet Ramsey represents more than one crime. It stands as a symbol of innocence violated, the dark underbelly of fame and privilege, and the dangers lurking behind closed doors. Over the years, the mystery never fully faded. New documentary efforts and advances in forensic science rekindled public interest. One of the latest efforts, Cold Case: Who Killed JonBonet Ramsey, premiered on Netflix in November 2024, re-examining every detail of the case, the 911 call, the ransom note, the crime scene, and the evidence not properly tested. In interviews around the documentary's release, John Ramsey said he believes there may still be untested pieces of evidence, items that could, with modern DNA and genealogical analysis, point to the true killer. He argued that investigators blew off some leads, especially when a masked intruder allegedly committed a similar crime, a 1997 assault on a 1-2-year-old girl in Boulder. Ramsey said that suspect looked like he could easily have been the same person. Authorities say they're open, or at least not dismissive, to new advances. In recent years, outside expert panels reviewed the evidence to see if modern forensic techniques might yield breakthroughs. Some evidence, however, may have degraded or been consumed by past testing, a tragic loss. Through it all, the case remains officially unsolved. The killer has not been charged. No convictions. Decades of speculation, theories, and heartbreak. Why this case haunts USA: innocence, failures, and fear. What makes the story of JonBonet Ramsey so chilling and so unforgettable is the cruel contrast between childhood innocence and unspeakable violence. A little girl, full of life, preparing for Christmas, 24 hours later, discovered lifeless in the basement of her own home, bound and brutalized. It's a story of failures, investigative missteps, contamination of crucial evidence, sensationalist media coverage, rushed judgments, and public paranoia. The early days after the murder were chaotic enough to distort justice. It's also a story of obsession by the public, The media, law enforcers, and amateur sleuths, all wanting answers, all looking for someone to hold accountable, all haunted by the possibility that justice may never come. Finally, it's a story of enduring grief, for a family, for a community, for a nation. A little girl's life gone, a Christmas turned into nightmare, a house where laughter once rang now silent. Today, cold case warmed by hope. As of now, the death of JonBonet Ramsey remains officially unsolved. No killer has been convicted, no justice served, but the case is not forgotten. With renewed attention sparked by documentaries, new forensic potential, and persistent advocacy, there is renewed hope. John Ramsey continues to push for new DNA and genealogy testing. Investigators occasionally revisit leads. Experts weigh the possibility that the truth might yet emerge. More than 140 people have been investigated at various times over the years. Thousands of pages of documents, hundreds of leads, and yet the answer remains elusive. To many, the case of JonBonet Ramsey represents more than one crime. It stands as a symbol of innocence violated, the dark underbelly of fame and privilege, and the dangers lurking behind closed doors.
In your tiny shoes, you walk so tall, a big girl smile.
Imagine, for a moment, a 6-year-old girl, drifting to sleep after Christmas in a warm home, dreaming of fairy tale dresses, of applause and lights on a pageant stage, of laughter with family, then darkness, no warning, no explanation, just unspeakable violence. The world watched in horror when they found her small, helpless, broken. And then, the world demanded answers. But decades passed, answers remained hidden. The killer walked away free, or hid behind shadows. Yet still there are those who remember, who care, who hope, who refuse to forget. Because memory is powerful, because justice matters, because a little girl's life precious, fleeting deserves more than silence. If hope endures, maybe one day we will know exactly what happened that December night. Who slipped in, who took that tiny life, and why.
JonBonet.
Until then, the house may stand, the evidence may slumber, the world may age, but the mystery of JonBonet Ramsey lives on, and her story, tragic and heartbreaking, holds us captive in its sorrow.
Like the sky, sparkly eyes that dare to defy the world that didn't glow enough for a soul so pure.
The questions we won't stop asking. 1. Why was JonBonet's body hidden in a basement room the parents knew well? 2. Why the weird $118,000 ransom? 3. Why did the handwriting look similar to Patsy's? Thank you so much for watching and supporting Crime Chronicle 1. Your time, your curiosity, and your passion for true crime storytelling mean everything to us. Each view, each comment, and each moment you spend with our stories help us grow and continue bringing you gripping, suspense-filled crime narratives both solved and unsolved. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Your subscription encourages us to dig deeper, uncover more mysteries, and keep delivering the high-quality crime stories you love. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and see you in the next Chronicle.